So it's not unlikely that the writers sat in a room thinking of a way the war with New York would be ended, and they decided on Butch turning on Phil. But it still doesn't quite explain why Butch did this, especially given his disdain for Tony and him being such a cheerleader for a war with Jersey. There's a good lesson in Butch's change for all of us. It's very easy to, say, sit in front of a keyboard and criticize a sportsman, politician, or whatever. It's very easy to push for a movement of some kind. But when you're actually out there, when you're battling in the trenches, things get uncomfortable, and all of a sudden you're missing the smell of your coffee and want to go back to your keyboard. Clearly, after all of his rhetoric, it seemed life in a mob war was not all it cracked up to be for Butch, and you wanted it to end so life could get comfortable again. At the sit-down with the Sopranos in the final episode, Butch cites his reasons for turning on Phil by saying, "It's gone too far. Phil, I don't know, he's changed." So there's two elements here, the war and Phil's personality, the two being intrinsically linked. The whole reason why this war started was because of Phil's fragile ego and his tendency to hold a grudge over petty matters. Though many things happened in the past, I do go over Phil's side of the story in a video of mine called The Case for Phil Hurtado, which you can check out on the channel. And ultimately, there was no real concrete, clear reason for this war to have started, except that Phil doesn't like Tony, New Jersey, and he brought up matters that were already brought to bed. In other words, La Cosa Nostra is all about business, and Phil made it personal. And while he was hiding away in phone booths and such, the likes of Butch were fighting his battles, his petty battles, risking their lives. When a war is happening, people aren't earning, they aren't making money, which is the whole point of this thing of ours in the first place. As I mentioned in my Phil Hurtado analysis video, Phil had notions of honor and omerta that were outdated and not followed by the younger generation, guys like Butch and Tony, who just wanted to make money. At their core, though they came off as very similar initially, Phil and Butch held different philosophies when it came to mob, and as time wore on and the war took its toll, Butch saw that Phil was not the man to lead the family. One of the most important scenes for Butchie is one that occurs before the final sit-down, with Butch speaking with Phil on the phone regarding New York's failure to kill Tony. Phil is angry and dismissive of his underboss. Butchie is clearly frustrated, cold and irritated. He's a disgruntled employee. Phil doesn't even trust him enough to speak in person, and the frustration is linked to a wider theme of The Sopranos, which is that the mob is in decline. Take note of the announcer on the tour bus during this scene. She says, "Famous Little Italy, once covered over 40 square blocks but has now been reduced to one road," and her voice trails off. It perfectly describes where the mob is right now, reduced to a shadow of its former self. Butch walks through Little Italy and, unbeknownst to him, ends up in Chinatown, lost and confused. A perfect description of his journey through the war. Listening to Phil has led him astray, and he needs to get back on the tracks. Regarding Phil changing, there are little hints throughout the show that you can pick up that Butch's estimation of Phil as a man just fucking plummeted. Ironic, right? One such example is when Phil says, "There's no scraps in my scrapbook." Butch looks like the consigliere, bemused, like he's
shout out to the Chow.
And then there's the sit-down between New York and Jersey, where Tony talks to Phil
What y'all chowing on?
in the hospital. Tony makes a point to speak privately, but Phil refuses, and then Tony talks in front of
What's up,
everyone.
7356? I don't know. I don't want to butcher your name, gang.
Butch looking very intrigued.
Hope you have a good day, though.
Shocked expression when Johnny Sack burst out crying at his daughter's wedding. Perhaps Butch was re-examining his estimation of Phil in this moment, wondering if perhaps
Charles, what's up?
that he's cracked
Shout out to you.
This kind of war would have never been started under Carmine Sr. or even Johnny Sack, as emotional as he could be. Even the Chinatown scene, Phil brings up the possibility of making peace and berates Butchie for thinking about it, saying, "Then what'd you say it for?" And Butchie has to remind him that he didn't. Phil did. Phil sounds like a guy who's lost the plot. He's also ordered a war and then run for cover, leaving Butch out in the cold, literally. That's not the same Phil that carried out numerous hits single-handedly. He performed Lorraine Crusoe's mock execution, killed Angela Garepe, who was there to witness the murder, beat her face to face. Phil has changed.
Hope you get your games in for the day.
Went to the
You gotta go.
with his crew,
Like and subscribe for me.
with them being trusted enough to know where he was. And even then, his crew was losing respect for him as well, for things like not visiting Sir in the hospital. Imagine how much respect they'd lose for him if he left to fight his war while he ran off to New York. And also, it's important to note that Butch in the Chinatown scene wants the war to be over, will take peace if need be, and Phil has made it clear that he won't go along with this. So Butchie knows that if he wants to make this war end, he has to cut Phil loose. Also worth of note is that Albie is shown to be against going to war, and with Phil going into hiding, you'd imagine that Butch spends a lot of time with Albie, who may have off-screen influenced him and got him to change his warmongering attitude. There's two other theories I wanted to discuss. The first is that maybe, who knows, Butch didn't want for Phil to die, but actually agreed to the sit-down in the final episode to let Tony's guard down so that he could be found easier and killed. I don't think there's too much strength with this theory, but it does have to be said the death of Phil in front of family could not have gone down well with Moon.
I tried, thank
They
you.
would be expected to take some kind of revenge.
I had a show back in April. I did the J Color Classic out here in Las Vegas.
Drama and wanting for Phil to go to war
I came in
so that
second.
Phil dies,
All
and
natural,
as
though.
revenge,
The
Butch
guy
was
that beat me
told
was a
by
little
the
enhanced, if you know what I mean.
scene of the show, and it
No
won't
diddy.
keep up
My
with
fault.
appearances. And he goes
That
on
was
to get
crazy.
what he secretly wanted, the position as boss of his family. Maybe he reached
Hey,
out to
shout out to you.
and both
Who is this? She says she's watching my live for no reason. Hey, I appreciate you. Lay,
This was
love,
Tony and Phil's rule.
cat lady.
But that is a theory
You're on my
that
live for no
says
reason. Shout out to you.
and thus is a video for another day.
Who we got? Emmanuel. Hey, shout out to you, Emmanuel. Hope you're having a good one, gang. Go ahead and like and subscribe for me. Always got the games. If you ever want a meal plan, let me know. Teach you how to prep for free. Workouts every day.
The underboss of the powerful Lubertado.
Hey, shout out to Brazil.
He's noted for not
Brazil.
being a successful
Shout out to Brazil.
mobster, but also a devoted husband to his wife. He's been a fan favorite character since his first appearance, all the way back in season 1. But there's no open question about his character. In the 5th season,
I don't celebrate
Johnny Sack
Christmas
becomes the boss of the
or,
Lubertado family.
For that, any other holidays, if I'm gonna be honest with you. So
The fight
I'm gonna just
for the throne
relax.
season become unusually aggressive and ruthless.
You get a good lift in.
Characters
You
don't change in his
feel me?
attitude, and the conflicts that are born from his rise eventually lead to a war between
Eat some good
New York and
food.
New Jersey. Was Johnny Sack a good boss, or did he sow the
Be
seeds
grateful.
that would eventually
That's about
lead
it.
to his family's downfall? Let's find out.
Yeah, well, fuck him as highfalutin bullshit. Who does he think he is?
Hey.
Walter Raleigh?
Like and subscribe if y'all ain't already did it. I appreciate y'all. Only got a couple more bites
Though
in.
not directly named until later seasons,
I'ma call it.
Johnny is the underboss of the
Y'all have a
Lubertado
good one.
family, serving as